Only two things in life are certain: death and Maroon 5 making a shitty, pandering pop album with songs and features that no one asked for. I mean, they did it. They did it. They killed their careers. And this has basically been going on for years. I mean, they have just kept digging themselves deeper in the hole of just being generic and bland and becoming a band that nobody really cares about anymore. I put band in quotes because for the past couple of albums, say what you want about Overexposed or V, but really Red Pill Blues and now this album Jordi has really gone to show you that this is just Adam Levine using his solo project in Maroon 5 because what? He's too scared to go solo or too scared to keep Maroon 5 off of this like pop thing that they've been doing, that it just completely ruined anything the band had going for it in the first place. Because you look back when this band first started, we're going to talk about post Cars Flowers time, when they reformed and became Maroon 5 and changed their sound to this more funk rock type with their debut album Songs About Jane coming out in 2002, and they basically were everywhere at that point, from singles like Harder to Breathe, Sunday Morning, She Will Be Loved, and of course This Love. The band was on new levels, and it did take them a while to follow that album up, but in 2007, their sophomore record, It Won't Be Soon Before Long, came out, and that was really the pinnacle of when Maroon 5 like reached the top, and at that point nobody was complaining. They were, you know, even the haters would say that there was still something likable about Maroon 5. It was just that fun, funky sound, and you know, they would, you know, have some sarcastic songs about breaking up and all this other stuff, that it was fun. They brought something new to the table in this case. And the only really time they used a feature was when they used Rihanna on that remix of that one song, but other than that, they just wanted to be a band. They wanted to jam together, and they did exactly that. You fast forward 3 years later to their 2010 album, Hands All Over. Although a step down from their first two records, I would say was like the last record that I could say I can sit and listen to in its entirety from them. Like, I don't have any problem with it. It's just the problems start to come around on that record. They have more pop-leaning songs like Never Gonna Leave This Bed and Misery, but they do stick to their older sound with songs like Stutter and Give a Little More and Hands All Over. And I think really 2011 was the start of Maroon 5 selling out, because even in Hands All Over, the only feature on the record was Lady Antebellum. They weren't trying to force a feature down our throats because it was the popular thing. They just maybe thought, oh, this'll work here, we'll do it, but they weren't relying on features all the time. But in 2011, when a little song named Moves Like Jagger came out featuring Christina Aguilera, everybody was like, okay, what's going on here? This is completely different from anything that they have done, and it's just been a train wreck since. Well, the theory is that in 2010, when Maroon 5's Hands All Over didn't hit #1 on the Billboard, but #2, the ego of Adam Levine got so pissed off that he decided to ditch the whole alternative rock, funk rock thing, the thing that was working for them in the first place, that was still getting them to sell #2, and to basically sell out and go pop. And with their 2012 album, Overexposed, we started to see that, especially when they released the song Payphone featuring Wiz Khalifa. This was like the official start of, oh, every time we release a song, there's got to be a feature of someone who, at the time, is like big, because in 2012, Wiz Khalifa was popping off. Nowadays, yeah, you probably wouldn't see Maroon 5 booking for a feature. They did the same exact thing in 2014, and then with Red Pill Blues, anybody from A$AP Rocky to Julia Michaels to Cardi B, you name it, and even doing a song with Kendrick Lamar in Don't Wanna Know in 2016, still one of the most disappointing Kendrick Lamar moments of his career. But yes, they just seemed like they were clout chasing and basically showing you like, hey, we're a big band, we can get anybody we want to on a track with us. And it worked. I'm not going to sit here and say it didn't. For years after Moves Like Jagger, the whole let's get a feature on a song thing was keeping them relevant because they were getting, artists at the time that were big and, were fresh with the audience that they were with, that Maroon 5 kind of kept it going, even after Red Pill Blues was over. But it had been a while since they released a record. Keep in mind, before this record came out this year, it had been 4 years since Red Pill Blues came out. However, there was another problem that Maroon 5 started experiencing around the Hands All Over era. The deluxe editions for their albums. Moves Like Jagger ended up being on one of the 5 deluxe editions for Hands All Over. Overexposed and V had their many, and Red Pill Blues had 100 different deluxe editions that featured the one-off singles that were intended to be one-offs, but because they were big, they maybe wanted to just throw those on the record to see how they would do. And they literally did the same exact thing with their new album, Jordi, where on the exact same day the record came out, they couldn't even wait a week like Lil Uzi Vert, or months down the line like you would for most of the deluxe editions that you release. On the same day, they released the deluxe edition for their album that really did little to nothing to change the album. They added a song that was just strictly Jason Derulo and Adam Levine, not even Maroon 5. They added a Memories remix with a posthumous verse by Nipsey Hussle that did absolutely nothing. And they released this song Button, which was just as generic as any of the regular stuff that came off of this regular album. And, I was hoping that Maroon 5 would take some time to regroup, because if you remember, I think it was in 2019, right before Maroon 5 did the Super Bowl, this might have been the end of 2018 then, Adam Levine said that rock is dead, and that's basically why he doesn't focus on it anymore. It's not the genre that people want to hear, and boy, has that statement come back to haunt him, because now, 2019 happened to be one of the best years in rock we had had in a while, and it's still carrying into 2021, to the point where pop punk and metal are making a resurgence and are even hitting the billboards themselves. So you would think maybe Adam Levine, who doesn't like admitting he was wrong, would finally admit, hey, maybe that statement was just overreacting a little bit. Maybe he would take some time to regroup and go, it was 6, now it's 5 other people in the band because Mickey Madden has since been kicked out. Maybe if we just go back to doing the older stuff, or just some sort of rock-infused stuff, maybe that would be good, and whatever I was turning Maroon 5 into, I can save that for a solo career. I don't have to use Maroon 5's name in my solo career, because if you've seen before, when Adam Levine does a solo feature, that song does just fine for what it is. But no, we get something that was somehow worse than Red Pill Blues. But you're probably wondering, how did Maroon 5 kill their own career though? Don't they have a devoted fan base? And to that I say, yes, they do. I mean, I was a part of that fan base at one point. I have since basically just kind of, I guess left that fan base in this case. But here's the thing with this record, right? Usually when I make reviews about beloved bands, and I give them a negative review, the fans always come back at me with, you're wrong, this, that, and the other, basically coming back insulting or very defensive. But with this record, I've just been getting a lot of 100% agree. Oh my god, you're absolutely right. Even these magazines and all these other, critical reviews that you would see that usually would kiss up to Maroon 5 have given them a bad grade. For instance, Pitchfork rated Maroon 5's new record as the worst thing they have reviewed this year. And Pitchfork is very, very biased toward them. They usually are. They'll usually give them a good grade, whereas apparently Weezer, who just dissed them in her own song, is very, apparently Pitchfork doesn't like Weezer. It is what it is. We all have our music taste, but to see these music articles that always just seem to just latch on to Maroon 5 and never admit that they can do anything bad, giving them a grade like a 40 out of a 100, which isn't even the lowest that a Metacritic album would be, all this kind of stuff. But for Maroon 5, that's terrible. Basically, one of the reviews I read said, at this point, they're a singles band trying to create albums around those singles, and it's just not working. And I agree with what ARTV had to say. At this point in their career, either Adam Levine just needs to go solo and Maroon 5 needs to just become a touring band, because I'll say this, if I ever go and see Maroon 5 live, I want to hear the hits. I want to hear the songs that I love. I don't want to hear a full album of the crappy new material. That just seems like the correct way to go for them at this point. Or, if they are going to keep the Maroon 5 moniker, then leave what they're doing currently now to Adam Levine's solo career and let the band do more rock-oriented stuff, especially the stuff that made them popular and loved in the first place. Then maybe they wouldn't get shit on so much. But in the end, Adam Levine's ego has just tore this band down to where I think come next album release, nobody is going to give a shit. Nobody is going to care because they'll remember this album and how bad it was. I mean, just like, I don't know. All because Adam Levine wanted that money and he wanted to get #1 every single time he released an album because he thought his band was that big. You're not Metallica, sir. You're not Eminem. Every time you release something, your album isn't going to go #1 like those two. It's just not going to happen. I don't understand how you just can't accept #2, because it's very, very hard to not only chart #2 on the Billboard, but to chart within the Billboard Top 200. So the fact that you even hit #2 on Hands All Over, when a lot of people would say that that was like the album that started your downfall, that says a lot. And the fact that your other albums past that still sold very well says a lot as to the legacy that you've left, but the fact that you just kept getting duller and duller and duller and chasing trends that you know within a couple of years would have just died off at this point. It's just like, see, you're part of the dying breed of music now. Nobody wants to hear what you have to offer because it's not interesting anymore. It's not the in thing. You went from chasing trends to chasing former trends at this point, and that could be the final nail in the coffin for Maroon 5 at this point. I mean, it is just ridiculous, but that's my thoughts. I wanted to make this video to just kind of air out my grievances and to basically let you understand why this may have happened with Maroon 5 in the first place, all because 10 years ago, Adam got his little panties in a bunch about not hitting #1, and ever since then we've gotten Adam Levine solo project. Like, Adam Levine always just, especially nowadays, like, just seems like every time a bandmate would say, like, hey, maybe we should try this or this, Adam Levine just looks at him and goes, hey, shut up. I'm the band, not you, so you're going to listen to what I have to say. Like, at this point, what do the band members even do? Are they just his yes men or something? Like, I would hate to think that they are because they're his best friends. I mean, they've been in a band together for years, but it just seems like that at this point. Like, Adam's like, I want to do this. You guys have no say, and if you have a say and I don't agree with what you have to say, then you can kindly leave. But I guess the paycheck for them is just too much because they know how big their band is, and they're just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point. But yeah, you guys can tell me what you think, and until then, stay safe out there. Wear your mask. Actually, you don't really even have to wear your mask anymore, do you? So just stay safe out there, and if you choose to wear a mask, then okay. No one should judge you for it. It is what it is, but yeah. Till then, catch you in the next one.